everyone, this is Riley on Music Master, and today we're gonna cover a pretty interesting topic. And today we're gonna discuss the difference between planned obsolescence and perceived obsolescence. So let's jump right in. So let's start with planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence means that an item has basically been designed for the dump. And what it really means is that an item, so a company has specifically made an item last for a few years. So, like, you can purchase a brand new item, but then in a couple of years, that item is pretty much useless, and you pretty much have to throw it away before you can buy a new one. And we can really put that into perspective when we talk about technology, especially with Apple technology. With technology, you can buy a new piece of technology, like a new MacBook Pro or a new iPhone, but then say about 2, 3, maybe even 4 years from now, that's going to become really obsolete. Like, it's literally going to become useless, and companies do it that way to try and persuade you to throw it away and get a new piece of technology. Another thing we should discuss is perceived obsolescence. Now, perceived obsolescence is basically throwing away something that's perfectly useful and perfectly working. So, if I had like a Nintendo, a pretty new Nintendo, and say 3 years from now, it's obsolete, but the thing still works, but you still want to throw it away because that person has a newer Nintendo. Or say a car. You have an old version, and say 5 years later, someone got a new version of the same vehicle. And then you just want to look cool, and you just want to throw that car away, and then get the new version that your friend has. But your old car is perfectly fine. Like, it's perfectly drivable. It's perfectly working. So that's perceived obsolescence. And the reason why I wanted to discuss this topic is because I'm talking about iPhones and iPads and iPod touches mainly. So when we talk about Apple technology, we've heard about the recent news that Apple's deliberately slowing down your iPhones and the lawsuits filed against that company. Well, let's just say that when using an iPhone or pretty much any Apple iOS device, or it could even be a Mac or an Apple Watch, every device has a planned and a perceived obsolescence. Here's what I mean. Let's take, for example, the iPod Touch 5. Apple has designed it so that it can only run for a certain amount of years, and then they completely drop software support on it. That's planned obsolescence. But if it's out of updates, and then someone got a newer iPod Touch, and you want that one, and your old iPod Touch, and you're throwing away an old iPod Touch that still perfectly works, that's perceived obsolescence. So you see where I'm getting here. That iPhones and iPads and these iDevices, part of it is planned obsolescence, but then the other part is perceived obsolescence. And the final, part of it's planned obsolescence, and the other part is perceived obsolescence. So, if I had, say, an iPad mini, like the original iPad mini, the fact that it only runs up to iOS 9.3.5, that's planned obsolescence, but it still works and I still want to throw it away, that's perceived obsolescence. So there's always going to be a planned obsolescence and a perceived obsolescence part in every iDevice. Now, to conclude off the video and this quick discussion, I would like to say that when you're using an iDevice, do not let planned obsolescence affect you. And never ever, well, I'm not going to say never ever, but try to limit perceived obsolescence. And here's what I mean. If I'm using, say, an iPhone 5S right now, and it's slow on iOS 11, or say in about a year from now, the iPhone 6 on iOS 12, and it's slow, it's sluggish, whatever, that's planned obsolescence, but don't let that affect you. If you're going to have a device that's going to run out of updates pretty soon, don't let that's also planned obsolescence, but do not let that affect you either. And then when I said limit perceived obsolescence, meaning you repurpose your device when it's perfectly working and only throw it away when it completely isn't useful. And I'm talking about, okay, so say your iPhone, no longer supports software, but you can still install the modern version of apps. Well, yes, it's obsolete software-wise, but it still works. You can still use it. And if you throw that away, that's perceived obsolescence. Limit that perceived obsolescence. And like I said, so just remember these two factors. One, don't let planned obsolescence affect you. And two, limit your perceived obsolescence. And I have a quote for every, I have a special quote. Everything deserves a second chance, no matter the age or speed of performance. So to be more specific, I mean, if we're talking about every technology here, and a perfectly working old technology that's about 5 or 6 years old, that still deserves a second chance. So yes, it's 6 years old, it's slow, but that doesn't mean that you need to throw it away and discard it forever. You can still use it. So that's basically the explanation. No matter how old that phone is, how old that iPad is, and how slow it performs, everything deserves a second chance at life. So the quote again is, everything deserves a second chance, no matter the age or speed of performance. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this channel, as well as my other channel, Riley and Bobbits. And I'll see you in my next video, guys. Peace.